Arch Manning and Fernando Mendoza and what the Raiders should do moving forward. Now, first of all, we know that Manning is not coming out in the 2026 NFL draft. He has chosen to stay another year at Texas, get another year as a starter under his belt, and try to win a championship this year and next year. The thing is, the Raiders have options there. The Raiders could trade away the number 1 overall draft pick to a team like the Jets, who would most likely be a top 5 draft pick next year, and you could still end up with an Arch Manning. So should the Raiders do something like that, or do you go Fernando Mendoza? All that and more on today's episode of Daily Rumble Sports, formerly the Raider D podcast. Now listen, I gotta say this. Both QBs did really good passing. And out of Mendoza and Arch Manning, if I had the choice today, and I was the GM, both are in the draft, and I have the number 1 overall draft pick, I've got to tell you I'm going Arch Manning all day long. Fernando is going to be a great quarterback in the NFL, but I'm telling you right now, there is something absolutely special about Arch Manning. And it's kind of been touch and go with him to see like his progression as a starter. And he really highlighted that the dude just balled out against Michigan, rushing 9 times, putting up over 150 yards on the ground, sealing the game with a 60-yard touchdown run. I believe that was a record for a quarterback. And his athleticism, his skill set, his ability, this dude's on a whole nother level. If he goes to a team next year that has even half of the offensive weapons that the Raiders have, my goodness, he is going to win a lot of games in the NFL because he is just unstoppable. But the fact is, we're looking at it right now. Are the Raiders going to be able to draft him this year? No, because he's not coming out. He's already made that statement. He's already confirmed it. Fernando Mendoza, on the other hand, is most likely coming out. We don't have a confirmation, but it's almost guaranteed. Why would you pass up being the guy? Like, if you wait till next year, you're not going to be the number 1 overall draft pick. It's going to be Arch Manning hands down. So Fernando comes out this year, especially if they win the championship. And I think that the way that that team is built, most likely they're going to win the championship. Because overall, defense, offense, running game, blocking, I mean, it is a complete package over there at Indiana. I don't think there is a team, even with Arch Manning being as special as he is, I don't think there is a complete team like Indiana in this playoff left at all in the country. They are just too good. So they're going to win the championship. Fernando's going to come out. So that being said, what did I see out of Fernando tonight? What I seen is what I expected. Fernando Mendoza is the Heisman Trophy winner. Fernando Mendoza is the expected number 1 overall draft pick. And he was going up against another guy who was expected to be a first-round draft pick quarterback in Ty Simpson with Alabama. If Ty comes out, after this game, there's no way Ty comes out. I think for sure. I mean, if Ty Simpson came out, he's a 5th-round quarterback. He's going to drop like a hot rock. He's better off staying in Alabama, continue to get better next year. Maybe he makes it back into the first round. But my goodness, I'll tell you 2 things that I really like about Fernando. And if the Raiders draft him, which is the most likely scenario, here's what you can expect from him. This dude can throw the ball on the run like no other. He is pinpoint accurate throwing the ball on the run. And don't let the fact that he's 6'5" and 225 fool you. This dude can run the ball. He's not going to be able to run the ball like Arch Manning. He's definitely not a Jaden Daniels, but he is not a statue. And on several plays, you've seen him use his legs to get out of the pocket, throw the ball on the move, cross his body, and it was effortless for him. One concern I did see, though, is he did get sacked over 3 times in this game. And that's despite the fact that Indiana has probably the best offensive line in the NFL or in college football. And he still took some sacks there. So that's a little bit concerning when you come to the Raiders. If the Raiders don't get that offensive line suited up and really beefed up, you could have a very difficult season for your rookie quarterback, who I believe will be, week one starter. You don't draft the number one overall draft pick just to let him sit behind Geno Smith, though I think that that would be the best ideal solution for a guy like Fernando, is to sit 1 year or at least a half a year and really get acclimated to the speed of the game with the NFL, as well as a new coordinator, new system, all of that. Don't throw him to the wolves right away, but let him kind of work into it a little bit so you don't destroy him. But he has a propensity to get sacked, and that was shown tonight. Now, he's way down on his sacks this year, but that's, again, because Indiana has the best offensive line, in my opinion, in college football. But that didn't matter tonight, again, because Alabama has one of the best defensive lines in college football, and they were able to get to him several times. Plus, they're just a really good defense when it comes to the line. However, that being said, Indiana absolutely just chewed him up, dominated him with a 38-3 victory. Stats-wise, he was 14 of 16, 192 yards, 3 touchdowns, and no picks. So a very efficient game. Most of this game was on the ground, right? Their running game was hitting on all cylinders. They had a couple of touchdowns break off over 25 yards by their running backs. So efficient football, that's what you get from Mendoza. He's not going to be flashy special like an Arch Manning. So what do the Raiders do? Well, there's a couple of options. And like I said, number one is you trade that number one overall draft pick because you believe in Arch Manning and that's your goal. You want the superstar. You're going chips in, you're gambling everything, and you believe in Arch Manning next year. So you trade away the number one overall draft pick. You trade it away to the New York Jets. The New York Jets have multiple picks. The Cleveland Browns have multiple picks. So you could trade to them for their multiple first-round draft picks, and you can really build all the way around. Now, what does that mean? It means you probably go with Aiden O'Connell next year or Kenny Pickett, because I don't think you bring back Smith. I don't see him back with the Raiders. And you build around in the hopes that now, come next year, you're going to be able to get a top 5 draft pick and be able to hopefully get Arch Manning. Now, Arch Manning will probably be the first overall draft pick. So if you're not sitting at number 1, you're going to have to trade up, which means you're going to have to trade a whole lot of capital, and you're going to have to pray that the number 1 overall pick, whatever team it is, doesn't need a quarterback, right? They've got their guy, and they're willing to trade away and do the same thing that the Raiders did. Likelihood of of the Raiders doing that, I think it's like less than 1%. The Raiders need a quarterback. They need a quarterback now. The Raiders are ready with a quarterback now. And so Fernando Mendoza I believe he's going to be a good quarterback in the NFL. I just think Arch Manning is going to be a superstar. And I wish Arch was coming out this year, because if he was, he would be coming to Brock Bowers. He'd be coming to Michael Mayer. He'd be coming to Ashton Genty. He'd be coming to a Max Crosby-led team. And I think that would be the best case scenario for him. But I also think that, his father and his uncles and his family are not going to let him come to the Raiders, right? I think that they would not want him with the Raiders just because it's in Vegas and there's a lot of turnover and a history of losing. I think they would want him to go to a team that can be more stable. But I think that the Raiders are the best case scenario, because we literally are just a quarterback away. We have superstars on this team. And if we draft right this year as well, we'll have some more. So I don't know, guys. What do you think? Should the Raiders trade away that number 1 overall draft pick? Given if we get that number 1 overall draft pick, should you trade it away and hope for the best that you can get Arch Manning next year? And remember, there's like 5 or 6 quarterbacks that are coming out next year. It's not even you don't get Arch Manning. Oh, now you're out of a quarterback. There's 5 or 6 quarterbacks that'll be out next year that are going to be really good first round draft picks, probably top 15 guys. So Do you do that, or you just go Fernando Mendoza? My money is on Fernando Mendoza. I think that's what the Raiders are going to do, but love to hear what you guys have to say about it. Drop comments down below, follow, like, all that stuff. I'll see you guys in the next video.